my dear students. Hope all of you are fit and fine. Today, after a long time, we are going to have a short video because today I am not going to discuss anything long. Actually, I am not going to discuss any long chapter. That is why I have decided to discuss actually this topic, unseen comprehension. We have practiced a lot, okay, and we have discussed it already. So I'm just going to give you a brief, you know, kind of uh, revision we are going to have. That I hope you remember that why do we do this particular thing? Why do we need to practice unseen comprehension? Why? Because this kind of thing. First of all, though, in unseen comprehension, we receive maybe a story, maybe a poem, any kind of extract, and that must be unseen. That is not given in your literature book or in your, in any other book. Okay, obviously the portion, the extract is taken from a book, but that is not included in your syllabus. That must be unseen, and the meaning and everything you need to comprehend. Okay, you need to go through the passage very carefully, each and every word. And what happens in an unseen passage, it is very much natural to find some words which are unknown to you. Now, how to understand the meaning? You just need to read the sentences or the lines of the poem again and again, and you need to guess the meaning from the context. This is the way we need to read unseen comprehension, and we need to have an idea, we need to grow an idea about the meaning, about the context, and about the theme of that passage. Okay, what the passage is about. And in this way your vocabulary gets enriched, your your writing skill also can be enriched, because you know how to write a thing, how to write about a particular topic. You can learn this by just going through so many passages, so much practice you can learn this. So today you will find that in the study material I have given you an unseen comprehension. It is not a poem, it is a story like thing. So I would suggest you to do that homework. There are some other homeworks also, and there is other homeworks. I think there are other homeworks. You just check once. I don't remember properly. And there is a portion, the Google form task. You will understand what the task is, and you do it in your copy and upload the file in the file upload option of the Google form. Okay, that's it. So the next thing that I am going to discuss today is punctuation and capital letters. Now, what is punctuation? Why it is necessary? Those things that we use, na, full stop, comma, semicolon, colon, quotation, inverted comma, and so on, those things are actually punctuation. And each and every sentence, every piece of writing must be properly punctuated, whether you are writing a single sentence, whether you are writing a whole letter, whatever it is, that must be properly punctuated. Otherwise your meaning will not be properly, your thoughts will not be properly expressed. See, in your own book only, there is a passage, C.V. Raman, all the letters are small letters. The great scientist was just 14 when he joined the college. His teacher was, there is no gap, no pause in between two sentences. You just don't know. Now you know where to stop. That is why we can understand, okay, there should be a full stop. But if someone doesn't use any full stop, you cannot understand where to stop. You can, if someone doesn't use a comma or something, you don't know, you will never be able to understand where to give a minimum pause, right? So in this way, the whole meaning and whole structure gets destroyed, destructed, right? So punctuation is very, very important. We use stops or marks of punctuation to separate one sentence from another, and sometimes it has been mentioned, yes, or one part of sentence from another. It's not mandatory that only in between two sentences you can use a full stop or a comma or something like that. To separate two parts or more than two parts of a particular sentence, also you can use a particular punctuation. We use that. We all know that how we use punctuation, but in this chapter it has been described very much. The description is really well, I would say. So first one, main marks of punctuation. Here you are going to read about full stop, comma, semicolon, colon, mark of interrogation, mark of exclamation, quotation marks or inverted commas. All these things have been used by you. I hope you already know the basic idea where to use them, the basic rule of using them. I'm sure that you know that already, but we will read vividly. First one, the full stop. The full stop indicates the longest pause. So it refers to the longest pause, the full stop. The first one, it is used at the end of all assertive and imperative sentences. Just before a few days we read sentences, and I'm sure that you have studied well, you followed my suggestion, you studied well. I could see in the live class most of the students followed the suggestion, you studied well, and you know that at the end of the sentence we need to use, and you have given the exam also. So we need to use at the end of assertive, whether positive or negative, and imperative sentence, we need to use a full stop. It is used for initials or abbreviations. Sometimes we use the short forms, the abbreviations. So there we need to use that, we say dot, that is actually full stop. Okay, we say that v.k.call, it's actually full stop. The marks are same, Vijay Kumar Kaul. So here you are using the short form of the name, but here you need to remember, you can underline also, that if an abbreviation is formed with the first letter and the final letter of the full word, the full stop is omitted. After Mr., after doctor, we use dot, but that is not needed. Okay, we use full stop. After dr we give that dot, but that is not needed because it is formed from doctor. So we are taking the first letter and the last letter, and in this case when you are taking the first one and the last one of the whole word, the full stop is not needed there. Okay, now the next one is comma. The comma indicates the shortest pause. So the full stop is used for the longest pause and comma is used for the shortest pause. It is used usage number 1, to separate a series of words of the same part of speech. You know that already, that I brought apple, banana, comma, comma, comma we use because we need to separate words from another word. Next one, this first one is very common and is known to all, I guess. The second one, to set off a noun of address. Hey, Shaurabh, come here. So after that Shaurabh, when you are calling someone, you are addressing someone, we give after the noun specially, not after hey you. We do not use such English in formal way, right? So hey Shaurabh, after Shaurabh, after that noun, when you are addressing a noun, you need to put a comma. That is also a usage. To set off the phrases in apposition, in order to understand this, you need to read what an apposition is. You will get that in your book. What happens? Sometimes we use two words or word or phrase, both the things actually indicate the same person or the same thing. When this kind of thing happens, we say that those two words or phrases, they are in apposition. Like Miss Ganguly, comma, the secretary of this dance club is present here. So here Miss Ganguly and the secretary of the dance club, both the phrases indicate the same person. So they are in opposition, apposition. So what is the rule here? To set up the phrases in apposition. When you are using apposition, you need to put a comma in between them, and after that also, after using the second phrase also, you need to put a comma. See, Mr. Bose, comma, the apposition, the principal of the school. Again, after that also you need to put a comma and then use the verb. I hope understood. Obviously, if you have any query after watching the video, you will ask me in the live class as usual. No problem. So, this last one, wherever a brief pause is needed. If you need my help, comma, write to me. Okay. So here, when you utter this sentence, you will understand that there we should give a brief pause. If you need any help, just write to me. Okay, there you should use a comma. This is very natural. This should be very much spontaneous. When you will practice now, or if you try to utter this thing, it will be very much spontaneous to you. You will not face any problem, I guess. Now note, look at these two sentences. Why I am saying about the uttering the sentences? When you will utter the sentence, different sentences, in case of different sentences, different things happen. Like in the first sentence, if you take this route, you will save at least 2 hours. There is a brief pause after the first subordinate clause. In the second sentence, you will save at least 2 hours if you take this route. There are no short pause or nothing like that is needed. If you utter the whole sentence, you will easily understand that. Okay, try to do it in this way. If this doesn't work for you, you let me know in the live class. Okay, next one, the semicolon. The semicolon marks a greater pause than that indicated by a comma. So comma indicated, what did we read? That comma indicates or refers to the shortest pause, but semicolon also it stands for a pause, but it is a greater pause than that indicated by a comma. So the pause indicated by semicolon is greater than the pause indicated by a comma. The semicolon is used to separate a series of short clauses. So here we do not use semicolon to separate only the words. Okay. We use semicolon to separate two or more than two clauses. Like I loved, and in a clause, I hope you remember, in a clause you will definitely find a subject and a finite verb. I loved, semicolon, I sang, I danced with joy. Yes, I know generally we put comma, but that is not grammatically correct. When you are separating one clause from another clause, they are not words, then you need to use semicolon, not comma. And obviously if you are indicating a pause which is not very short. Okay. Next, the colon. The colon marks a greater pause than indicated by semicolon. So at first, okay, there is comma, shortest one, shortest pause. Then greater than that, what is there? Semicolon. And even greater than semicolon, there is colon. Either a colon or a comma is used to mark off a direct quotation. Okay, so when you are using a quotation, rather see, now it is almost universal to set off a direct quotation by a comma rather than by a colon. Yes, when we will learn narration, when we will be discussing in the chapter narration, you will understand that nowadays we do not use colon. If you go through a drama, okay, a literary piece, then you will find that when the dialogues are written, after the person who is throwing that dialogue, there is a colon. That is okay in drama, but when you are just stating a single statement, a single quotation you are mentioning, maybe before people used that colon instead of comma, but nowadays only the comma is used. That is mostly used, but yes, in this way you can, Gandhiji said colon, then inverted comma starts, but nowadays what do we do? Gandhiji said comma, then inverted comma starts. Nowadays we do that a lot. I can never ever, I don't think I have ever used colon in the case of narration or in the case of mentioning any quotation. I have seen it in drama only. Okay, the colon is used to introduce a list. Yes, this is very much common. That the three most popular newspapers are, then colon, then you make points or you keep on writing the names or the points, whatever you are going to write. Okay, so when you are mentioning some points or you are going to give some list, you put colon before that. The colon is also used to introduce an explanation or a statement. All she said was this. Yes, here you are not going to give a list, but in place of list it's just something else. I mean, the thing is quite common, but instead of list, here you are going to give some explanation. The list of explanation, I would say. Okay, I mentioned now sometimes we make points and sometimes we do not make the points. We just mention our thoughts or whatever we want to say. So whether it is a list or something that we need to explain, that whatever she said is this, and after that you keep on describing that, you can give that colon there. Okay. After that, the mark of interrogation, we all know whenever we make a question, we put forward a question, the mark of interrogation must be put at the end. Okay, that is the hallmark of an interrogative sentence. The mark of exclamation, obviously at the end, not always at the end. After those interjections especially, we need to give that exclamation mark. The quotation marks or inverted commas. The quotation marks or inverted commas are used to set off the actual words by the speaker. Actually, I decided to discuss this when we will be discussing narration, but okay, a brief discussion is not bad. So when what is actually quotation? When suppose I have said something in the class and you are going to tell that to your mother or you are going to share that with your friend. So if you share that same thing in your own words, then you cannot quote that. But if you tell the exact words told by me, then you can use quotation. Okay, so when we quote the exact words said by a person, we use that quotation. I mean the exact words, same to same words said by that person. When we say, we can use inverted comma. Okay. Now capital letters. Where do we use capital letters? Obviously in the beginning of a sentence we use capital letters. Before going through the book, you try to think. What do you know about capital letters? Obviously before, not before, in the beginning of the sentence you need to use a capital letter. Whenever you use I, the first person pronoun I, we always use it in capital letter. Always. I is never short. I, this I. Okay, it is never short, that pronoun I. Again, when you say, you talk about a proper noun. When you talk about a proper noun, it always begins with capital letter. What else? Let's see. Every new line of a poem. Yes, every letter of every line of a poem begins with a capital letter. Proper noun and adjective formed from them. Proper adjectives also. Yes, proper adjectives also carries. Proper adjective also carries the capital letter in the beginning. The first word of a direct quotation. Very good. I forgot to mention, whenever you are quoting someone's statement, the first letter used in between inverted commas, that will be a capital letter. That is mandatory. The pronoun I and the word O are always written in the capital. Okay, when you are reading, don't think that wherever you are writing, like you are writing orange in between a sentence, you will make it capital. No, when you are using single O somewhere, then it will be capital. Look at these examples of unpunctuated and punctuated passages. You go through this portion, you will understand how humorous, how meaningless can an unpunctuated passage be. Okay, how meaningless they can be. I mean, they are nothing actually. You will not be able to understand a single thing if you really start to read them without any punctuation. So punctuation is very, very important. Otherwise, the thoughts, even if you try to express them properly, they will not be expressed properly. It will be totally meaningless. Okay, so whatever doubts you will be having, you just ask me in the live class and join the live class positively. We will have a discussion regarding some answers today there. So bye bye for now. We will be meeting there. Okay.